Welcome to the White Sox REKAP Podcast. I am Ryan McGuffey. Well, following up on our last episode, the White Sox still are the worst team in the American League scoring runs and OPS, etc. However, Chase Meidroth is here. Edgar Quero is here. But what can they do to change the White Sox offensive narrative? Because quite frankly, it's been downright offensive. We hone in on the guys who might be the real problem of this lineup, the meat of the order, so to speak. The Catman, David Kaplan, joins me on this edition of the White Sox REKAP Podcast, and it's brought to you by our new proud partners of the Illinois Tollway and the If Only campaign. Drivers need to do their part too to keep everyone safe. The lives of the Illinois Tollway customers, maintenance workers, help truck drivers, and construction contractors depend on it. We are proud to welcome the Illinois Tollway to the White Sox REKAP Podcast, and it starts right now. All right, here on the White Sox REKAP Podcast, bringing in this guy, the Catman, David Kaplan, to join me. And before you start going, oh, Cap and the White Sox, this guy and I, we've already been to 2 White Sox games together as fans. Cap?
I was there the other night in the 12-3 blowout. I stayed till the bitter end.
He did. I left early. So if you want to criticize me. The Catman's full of baseball acumen, baseball knowledge. And look, we know and we knew that this season was going to be tough sledding again on the South Side. Okay. Mm-hmm. Through 18 games as we tape this, the record is what it is. You know, they are not winning ball games. If you read between some of the surface level stuff, it does look a little bit different in certain aspects. But the one that's consistent, and we talked about it last week when BA was here, is that this offense is worse this year than last year. Cap, they can't score runs.
It's truly embarrassing how bad they are offensively.
They have 54 runs in 18 games.
Yeah, it's insane.
That's 3 runs a game. And, you know, I've been saying on the bet of the day, team totals that are over 3.5 for the White Sox, until further notice,
you can't play it.
They've only done it.
Over.
They've only scored more than 3 runs in a game twice in April. Twice.
And now they're going in to play a Boston team that I'm sure would like to get revenge after their announcers were out of their minds. I can't wait to get to Chicago. Comes at the perfect time. And they lose 2 of 3.
So I want to run through some numbers here. And I think, like, let's be honest, like, since the last podcast, 2 great things have happened. Chase Meidroth is here. Edgar Quero is here. Meidroth has looked like every bit the guy you want him to be. He works at bats. He gets on base.
He's a grinder.
Of fact, he's got on base in every game so far as we tape this since being with the White Sox. Edgar Quero has a game under his belt. What I like about it is they were doing what they were supposed to be doing in AAA and were rewarded immediately. This team, quite honestly, if you're doing that in AAA, and I want to get into some of the other guys in AAA, there's no reason not to bring them up. Don't worry about clocks. Don't worry about – this was the right move at the right time. And for fans, it's a cookie and a carrot they can actually latch onto, because you have 2 guys that you're actually going to be here and lock loyalty to here for the coming years.
Yeah, watching that team the other night, and look, I don't know how the starting pitching is going to hold up all year. You've got guys that have never thrown 100 innings in the big leagues. So to think that come September they're going to rack up 175 to 200 innings, that might be a little optimistic. But I got to tell you, watching some of the guys I've watched, they got some guys that can throw the baseball.
Yeah,
it's just the offense is such a struggle day after day. And when you have your middle of your order with Luis Robert and all these guys that got OPSs at 500 or less. And for people out there, I had a buddy of mine go, explain to me what's a good OPS. A good OPS, if you're north of 700, you're a pretty solid major league player. If you're north of 800, you have a chance to be an all-star. If you're north of 900, you are a star. And if you're over 1,000, you're an MVP candidate. So when you got Luis Robert at 500 and you got other guys in the lineup at 400, it's insanity.
Yeah, I mean, to your point, okay, as we tape this, Here are some batting averages, and I'll give OPSs. The OPSs, which you were just talking about, this is your 2, 3, 4 hitters. This is why your offense sucks. Your offense sucks because the guys who the 3 guys in your lineup that you expected to produce are doing this. 439 OPS for Luis Robert, 449 for Miguel Vargas, but he added 20 pounds of muscle. Okay, 450 for Andrew Vaughn. Here are the wars.
Andrew Vaughn was the 3rd pick overall in the draft.
And I keep saying this, dude. Jacob Amaya has a 250 OPS. Okay, I understand he's a placeholder. He is not a Major League Baseball player, Cap. He's hitting one. Listen to the batting average. Listen to the batting averages of the guys who are the, quote, everyday players. Nick Maton, 139. Luis Robert, 136. Michael A. Taylor, 184. Miguel Vargas, 149. Jacob Amaya, 103. Andrew Vaughn, 138.
It's unbelievable.
I know you want continuity in coaching staffs and stuff. You have Marcus Tim survived the coaching change. Grady Sizemore is the, quote, offensive coordinator of this team. What is going on?
What are you coordinating, Grady?
There's a talent problem, but I'm sorry. Andrew Vaughn was the Golden Spikes winner. Luis Robert was a Silver Slugger and got MVP votes a couple of years ago.
And they look completely
And Miguel Vargas
lost.
was a top 100 prospect.
And they look lost.
And they're giving up at bats. And I honestly, this is where I'm confused. I don't know how it gets fixed. I want to play a clip here. I was at the ballpark on Thursday. Andrew Benintendi met the media. I brought it up to Benintendi and I brought it up to Will Venable. Benintendi said this is the coldest start he can remember in his career.
Cold as in temperature.
Cold as in temperature. I'm just going to play the clip. We'll react to it afterwards.
Is it warmer on the other side of the field?
It's exactly what I'm saying. Here we go.
The weather's been terrible. It's the coldest start I've ever had. But, just trying to go out there, grind through at bats. Guys are throwing the ball well, so just trying to put it all together.
Is it more than weather, like when you're struggling as a team offensively? I mean, everyone's playing in the same weather in some aspects, but have you seen anything from a collective group that you guys are just so close and ready to take off?
Yeah, for sure. I think there's been a lot of balls that have been hit that, if it's not cold or windy, I think Vaughn right now should have about 6-7 homers. Vargas hit a few balls that have been caught at the wall. I think obviously it's not fun to hit in the cold. You hit the barrel, your hands still hurt, but like you said, they got to do it too. But I think in time it'll all pick up.
You guys have scored early runs, but then you've never been able to attack on. Is there something more to it than just the weather or guys just not clicking right now? Because you're one of the better teams in the first and second inning in terms of scoring runs, but then whether it's Tuesday night, the 3-run homer, last night you get the solo shot, but you're never able to add on. Is there something more to that?
I think we just have to keep going, and continue to be consistent, throw out good at bats. These guys are working the right way. They're doing their homework. We just have to continue to push and swing at good pitches. And I think the more we do that, we're going to string some things together and score some runs.
Okay. All right. So
I love the follow-up question by whoever the intrepid reporter was to Andrew Benintendi. This guy. When he said, coldest start, and you said, yeah, both teams have to play in it.
Both teams have to play in it. The A's just came to town, and they're hitting home. They're scoring 12 runs, 8 runs. Balls are flying all over the ballpark. So Andrew Vaughn should have 6 home runs. Miguel Vargas hit a couple balls to the warning track. The last I look, none of those. He doesn't have 6 home runs. Miguel Vargas can't hit a lick. He's playing a decent third base, but I just am so the approach is good, the work is good. We're 20 games in, and I'm not about overreacting. We're not even 20 games in, but there's patterns here. I know there's a talent problem. I am not saying these guys, but the guys I'm calling to the carpet, that's not a talent problem. That's not a talent problem. That's a development problem that's not going. I don't care about the work they're putting in if the results look the same. Every year I look on the back of the baseball card. And we're talking about Luis Robert being traded for a haul.
Let me ask people
guy's playing
out
a
there.
good defense. He's playing every day. But come on, man.
Let me ask people out there. And if you ever want to send a question in, at Ryan McGuffey, at the Catman, we'll answer questions on any podcast, any show that we do. But when you look at the development issues, I mean, this is a big problem in this organization because they're not spending on proven veterans. So you better be able to develop your guys.
And
no one's giving a haul for Luis Robert, with all due respect. If you out there were running another team and you said, boy, we lost an outfielder to an injury, let's go get Luis Robert, and Chris Getz said, I need 2 of your top prospects, you're going to say, for a guy with a 4 whatever OPS, no, not doing it.
And for all of you people who like to talk about hard hit rate and all that stuff, I got that for you too. In barrel rate, the White Sox are in the bottom 3% of the majors. Okay. In weighted on base. Okay. All of these stats that hang on, let's peel behind the curtain. In weighted on base, the Chicago White Sox are bottom 1%. Weighted on base with average, bottom 1%. Expected batting average, bottom 3%. Expected slugging percentage, bottom 3%. Expected weighted on base created, bottom 3%. How much deeper do we want to go here? Because both sides of the ledger tell the same story. Now, the positives. I'm all in on calling up guys when they're ready. Like seeing Chase Meidroth here, seeing Edgar Quero here. Those are the things that I knew, like, oh, that's going to be different because last year you didn't have those guys coming. At least you got a few of these guys. But Cap, you got other guys down there. Like Tim Elko is a 26-year-old prospect. All he does is hit. He's hitting 352.
If you're a prospect at 26, bring him up. It's not like you're ruining a 19-year-old.
He plays first base and DH. You don't have an everyday DH. You're throwing Nick Maidroth out there. You don't really
have a first baseman.
You don't really have a first baseman. You just said it. At some point, don't you step on the throat and give a little bit of pressure to some other players on your team, like an Andrew Vaughn, and say, hey, there's opportunity here. Guys are hitting where they're supposed to be hitting. Guys are getting on base. Look, at this point, Corey Julks, who's just a guy and was here last year, has a 10.07 OPS in AAA. If Michael Taylor ain't getting it done, Corey Julks, next man up. There's no point in investing and holding on to guys that you signed a 1-year deal to as placeholders, because that's what they are. And when you're at this point of a rebuild, if you got guys below that could say, hey, we got a guy here that can actually give you production, because a 566 Cap team OPS is really inexplicable.
It's literally unbelievably bad. It's not just
inexcusable.
Bad.
It's not inexplicable.
It's unbelievably bad.
I mean, it's just.
And I do like some of the starting pitching. I got to be honest with you.
The starting pitching, here's the good. When they're actually pitching, they're not getting rewarded. When they're not when they're hitting, the bullpen's letting them down. Now the bullpen, like Mike Vassell has a 12-inning scoreless streak. There are individual stories here. The clubhouse, fantastic. And I know you guys who listen to this regularly don't want to hear about a great clubhouse. It's a really good group, and they respect their manager, which a couple of years ago, the last 2 years, I can't say the same. Will Venable has the reins of that clubhouse. He's respected in that clubhouse, and it's a two-way street. But offensively, Cap, people are like, well, here we go, 122 losses. We're not there yet. The White Sox did not get their fourth win last year until game 26. They were 3-22 at one point. Jeez. So they roughly are 8 games better than they were a year ago at this time. And look, it needs to get better. It might need to get worse before it gets better, because right now, that's what it feels like. We have partners at the Illinois Tollway. Proud partners of the Recap Podcast Network here, the White Sox Recap Podcast, also our Cubs Recap Podcast. Hey, folks, quick time out to talk about something serious. We've all said it before. If only I'd slowed down. The Illinois Tollway's new ad campaign is called If Only, and it's a powerful reminder that speeding doesn't just put you at risk. It affects everybody on the road. Every crash leaves someone wishing they'd done things differently. So take the extra time, slow down, saves lives. Lives, including yours, depend on it. We're proud to welcome them here to the White Sox Recap Podcast.
So I have a question. And look, I don't attack people personally. I don't. I just want to know what management, I'm talking above Chris Getz, I'm talking about Jerry and the ownership group. how do you look yourself in the mirror and go, yeah, we're good with this again? You know, that's what I don't understand, how they can allow it to get this bad and not look in the mirror and go, all right, take on an investor or do something, come up with some way of financing some stability. I'm not expecting Shohei Ohtani and Juan Soto contracts, but as a baseball fan, I watch every White Sox game. You know that. Every game.
That's why you're on here.
And that was not a lot of fun last year. All of you, the same thing. But we have our recaps. We have the podcast. I watch every game. How do you look in the mirror and go, well, we're just trying to get this thing rebuilt?
And
rebuilt. It's a train wreck.
I'm with, and that's why I think we've seen signs with the call-ups of Chase, with the call-ups of Edgar Carroll. And you heard me ask Will Venable, like, why is there this inability? We were at the game on Tuesday. Vaughn, the Sox go down 3-0. Vaughn ties it up with a 3-run homer. And then nothing.
Nothing the rest of the night.
The following day, Brooks Baldwin hits a solo home run in the second.
Nothing else.
Nothing else. The White Sox are actually top 10 in baseball in scoring runs in the first inning. That's a major leap, major improvement. But they go right back into that's it. That's all they're capable of. And they throw away at bats. There was a game a week and a half ago where Luis Robert led off and saw 4 pitches in his first 3 at bats. I'm all about
that's just not even giving you a professional AB.
I'm all about being aggressive, but that's not aggressive. That's just throwing stuff away.
It's a train wreck.
And not leading into. One more clip I wanted to play you guys here is just about the excitement of calling up young guys. And I know we're going to see more throughout the year, but how can it change? Because I'm going to end this actually on the positive. And the positive is, if we're going to get the influx of young talent, that should energize, because they're performing. What you don't want is the contagious. We hear hitting is contagious. Well, if that's the case, it's certainly contagious in this team for all the wrong reasons. You don't want these other guys to latch on to that. But from what I've seen from Meidroth, at least out of the gate, it feels different. Hopefully these two guys start the influx of talent and start pushing the envelope and pressing other guys, veterans like Andrew Benintendi. And Benintendi's actually played really well. He's played really well, and he's been one of the few guys that have hit. But do they actually feel a bump from when they get these young guys up here?
We've got to try some things here to score some runs. Adding those guys certainly helps. We're going to see how guys settle into the lineup and what spots, and continue to be open-minded to different things. So, having these guys helps. We've got to find a way to score some runs.
As a veteran, do you get a bump from young guys coming up? Like you've had 2 this week, one homestand come up and make their debuts. Mm-hmm. Obviously, there's a lot of talent there, and that's why they're here. But do you guys kind of feed off of that young energy as well?
Yeah, I mean, it's fun to watch, guys play their first few games. The excitement that they bring up. I'm not saying it's not exciting to be out there, but, it's different when, you're playing your first few games and getting your feet wet. But, it's been great so far. There's a lot of guys I'm sure they're going to come up throughout the year and make that debut. So it's always fun to be a part of.
So that's all. I mean, that's where we are. I mean, we're at the point now where some of the guys are veterans. We talked about placeholders. We have some guys who are here because there's really nowhere. They're tweeners. Andrew Benintendi, when he signed this deal, didn't sign for this, but he's here and he's in the middle of a 5-year deal.
Right.
Luis Robert likely will be traded regardless of how he performs the rest of the way. And Andrew Vaughn's kind of like the young Benintendi, meaning he's in the middle of this,
but he's got
arbitration level. He's getting, hey, I'm an Andrew Vaughn type. I'm a fan of the guy, but he's getting $6.5 million this year.
Yeah.
Okay.
And he's horrible.
And it's not working.
Let me ask you a question. Do you believe that when Rick Hahn, the former GM, brought Vaughn to the big leagues quickly and made him play out of position in right field, that it had an adverse effect on his development and affected him at the plate?
Great question. I do too. I think it affected Gavin Sheets as well. And we see what Gavin Sheets has done in San Diego. 2 things with Vaughn. He fast-tracked through the COVID. I think COVID impacted him too. He was basically playing at the alternate site in Schaumburg. Remember when they had the alternate kind of taxi squad at the Boomers facility? That's where Vaughn and Crochet kind of lived. And they just leapfrogged them into playoff type scenarios. And it was, we need you now. We're going to need Andrew Vaughn was, you talk about the dog days of summer, August, his legs were beat up. He's not a big guy as it is. He's squatty. His legs were abused.
Agreed.
In August and September of that first year.
He had nothing left.
And it carried over. They didn't know what to do with Abreu. They extended Abreu originally, and they needed him in right field again. And not until last year, he got his first full, true, clean year at first base. I do think it impacted him, but to be hitting, below 500 OPS and hitting a $130.
Yeah.
I'm not going to blame playing right field for that.
Agreed. Totally agree.
We'll see, folks, if things change. I don't expect, look, I'm not sitting here going, I expected the White Sox to be 500 at the end of April. That's not what I'm saying. What I'm saying is competitive. They've looked like they've been very competitive from a pitching standpoint. Okay.
Right. But they don't get support.
They've been very competitive defensively, but they're not competitive whatsoever as a team from an offensive 1 through 9. And something has to give. Whether you're bringing up more guys, you're putting pressure on guys who've been here a long time. Something's got to give, because being last in the American League in runs, when you compare them from the team to the north side, and I know they're in a different place, but when you're 70-plus runs, there's a 70-plus run difference.
That's insanity.
And we're 3 weeks into a baseball season?
Correct.
Multiply that times 6. You're talking about 450 to 500 runs difference between two baseball teams.
Yeah, it's amazing.
That's incredible. Cap, thanks for sitting in, buddy.
I love baseball. And guess what? I'm not one of those guys. Well, I'm a Cubs guy. I grew up a Cubs fan, but I love baseball. I was at the White Sox the other night.
You don't have to over-explain it. You're a guy. You watch every game.
I love baseball.
More so than even fans itself. The guys in the stands. He's got thoughts. I figured I'd run some of the stats down with our guy because he's seen a lot of baseball, even more than me. And sometimes when I don't have an answer, I throw them at him. And sometimes we both don't have answers because you see bad.
Because they're awful.
They're really bad. We appreciate the Illinois Tollway, who will now be with us the rest of the way here on the podcast. Remember the If Only campaign. And folks, when you're out there, you're seeing people fly by you, slow down, just get in the right lane. You can still maintain your speed, but if it's at the expense of being 3 or 4 minutes later to save lives, we suggest you do it. So thanks to the Illinois Tollway. Remember, you can get the White Sox Recap Podcast wherever you listen or subscribe to podcasts. And as always, right here on the Recap Network here on YouTube. For Cap, I'm Guff. We'll see you next time on the White Sox Recap Podcast.